Hello there, and welcome to another episode of My Dog Will Eat My Face. Just right there from that short opening, you know two things very quickly, don't you? One, my dog has not yet indulged in such endeavors. And two, I am actually still alive. That is a bittersweet truth, though, I have to say. I know in this society it seems that life above all else is what's valued, not the quality of life versus the quantity. And I find myself, I'm sure my listeners have found, to be more aligned on the quality side of things than the quantity side of things. I've always been that way because I was told I had to be that way. I was told from day one I was a very sick child and I had missing parts and I wasn't going to live long. So I had to live fully because I couldn't guarantee a long term plan. In fact, even when I went into working full time, I did not contribute to my 401k ever because I thought I would never see that money. More than likely. Now, if I got dismissed by my employer and also disabled, I could see it. I didn't know that at the time, so I was a fool to get a 401k. But that's just one example of complete upside down thinking that I had to engage in my life to play a short game, not a long game, so to speak. In recent months, things have been getting substantially worse, in my opinion. I have essentially a running checklist of ailments that all point to a weakening heart. And I do have a sort of dread underneath all of that. Now, I've talked about this all before, but there's yet another new item that needs to be added to the aforementioned checklist of maladies that I suffer. And that is essentially withdrawal. And what I mean by that is no, I'm not withdrawing off drugs or anything weird or stupid. I'm withdrawing from people more and more and more. And I wasn't doing it on purpose by any means. But it sort of came to me on a recent day where the act of, maybe half a dozen friends, all independent of each other, brought me to this epiphany. And since that's news, and It's a new item to add to my lengthy list. That's going to be my goal to talk about that today for as long as I have my voice. As you can tell, it's already hoarse. So I will try to elaborate on that here in just a little bit. So, the latest ailment that I became made aware of was discovered by way of a group of about half a dozen friends, as I said, who all independent of each other, all within about the same week or two at most, approached me and said something almost exactly the same thing. And it was things like, "Hey, are you okay? I never hear from you anymore. Where have you been? Are you still alive? What happened to you?" Or etc. Fill it in something like that there. And so I found myself giving very brief responses of, "No, I'm here, I'm fine." And that's it. I didn't bother to engage in any further conversation when prompted. Now, I also would remember from my hospice team many years ago who warned me that withdrawing from everyday life and people is a sign of the death process. So that's why when I heard those various statements, a red flag was certainly raised for me, and it caught my attention. And I'm not going to deny anything that they said because they were all absolutely correct. So that's the first thing. None of them were wrong. I have been ignoring people dramatically. On top of that, my fatigue has been so bad, it's hard for me to get out of bed for days and days and days. So I did some online research and I laugh a little bit because, that's the last thing a doctor ever wants to hear. There's patients say, "Well, I looked it up online." Oh, God. But in all seriousness, I did check to see if that was truly indeed a facet of the death process. That is, if is withdrawing from others a component of that process? Because I vaguely remembered it and I really wanted to confirm it. And sure enough, I did confirm it. And in a lot of sources, they attached an estimated time frame of about 3 to 4 months expected life expectancy. Now, in my case, 3 to 4 months will probably mean 300 to 400 years. Because I'm just immortal, apparently. I don't know what's going on with my body. But no, in all seriousness, that was the latest item to add to my rather lengthy list. As a reminder, if you like, it is severe fatigue, chronic hoarseness, loss of appetite, loss of weight, and here, withdrawal from others around me. And a few other ones are in there as well. Mainly, they're all indicia of the heart failing to pump blood to the appropriate parts of the body that it needs to, as effectively as it should. So now I find myself, sadly, isolating myself even more as time goes on and this decline, which is not swell. And I don't know what I want to do about it because I don't want to see these people. I don't want to do things with these people. The problem is that, pardon me, my problem is not that I want to see him and I'm afraid of something. No, the problem is I just don't want to be around anyone. And then I get sad and isolated, but I still don't want to be around anyone. It's a bizarre position to be in and to feel, and that's the best way I could express it. So that is truly the latest ailment that I can add to my laundry list of indicia that my heart is failing to pump sufficient blood throughout my body. Oh, I forgot skin issues in that nice long list. I don't know how I forgot that. Basically, I'm mulching. My skin is so dry in some places. If I just rub it a little bit, it's like reptilian. It's disgusting. I have to put on all these creams and steroids to try to keep it alive. The upper dermis going. But I joke with my dog, because that's my only companion pretty much now, that I'm mulching. I'm disintegrating before our very eyes. And why is that? Well, your skin is your largest organ, and my heart is not able to pump nutrients and blood to the skin as well as it should anymore. And so I'm reaping the benefits of that calamity. And as I already just said, as I look at all this, I have no desire to change anything. I have no desire to see a friend. I have no desire to make a date with someone. Oh God, that'd be so pointless. I don't have any drive to do these things. So, in a weird way, I'm just sort of fine with that. And if any of these medical studies that I read were to be taken at face value, which I'm not going to take at face value because they've always been wrong in my case, but if they were, the good news is this isn't going to last very long, at least. It's only temporary, just a few months, and then it goes away. It goes away when I die. Oh, gallows humor. Yes, you always have to have some gallows humor. Now, be it as it may that I seem to be more alone than I ever have been before in my life. Ibsen once wrote, "The strongest man in the world is he who stands most alone." And Christopher Hitchens wrote, "Being a castaway on a faraway island, independent of any sort of omnipresent paternal entity, bucks him up." And I kind of follow in that category as well. So it's not all too bad, except for one important detail. I feel really guilty and bad for my dog. I don't play with them as much as I should. I don't entertain them. I feel really guilty about that. I try to get up and play with them as much as I really can. But he's the victim. I'm not. And that pains me tremendously. All these things, all these ailments, I am not the victim. It's the people who are around me that are the victims, the people who care about me, my dog, my family. And that's something we seldom think about when we are fighting our battles, when we are waging our wars. We're more often than not the victims. And at least most certainly not the only ones. That I'd put every ounce of cash I could muster together on that right now. The real victims are the loved ones. And that's truly the worst part of all of this. And I'm not quite sure what to do about that. Because I'm just facing an arduous decline. There's nothing I can do about it. Medical science can't do anything about it. Guess I can only be conscious of it and try to minimize that effect on others as much as I can. That's all can think of to do. Now, if you, my dear listeners, can think of something else that I should do or another way to battle this gloomy outlook and how to better the lot of those who care for me, then please share. I'm all ears. Right now, I'm kind of a mix of hitting a brick wall when I think about it. I don't know what to do. And it's also based on the simple fact that I don't care if I'm alone. Now, that's not purely because of Ibsen, let's put it straight. But I don't know. I don't know what to do about that predicament. And I'm going to have to chomp on that for quite some time, I think. When quite some time is seemingly more and more less a commodity that I have. So, with that being shared, my good listeners, I'm actually going to make this a short podcast because I've been struggling a lot with just not feeling well. As I said already, I've complained enough. I've shared with you the withdrawal issue. If any of you have any advice on that problem, let me know. I intend to meet with my counselor next week on this topic, so maybe in the next week I can have an update podcast for you of how best it might be to approach this, or maybe I'll just be brain dead and not know what to do still. So, if any of you have any ideas, by all means, reach out to me. Just go to the Spotify homepage. You can contact me there. You can support the podcast there. You can go to patreon.com, join there, and direct message me, and I will respond. So, there are ways to reach me. And thank you again, though, so much for taking just a little bit of time out of your busy schedule to listen to my incessant rambling. God, I can't even speak today. Inc- incessant rambling. It's okay. I'll edit that word solid out later. Um, yeah, I appreciate your time to listen to me and to at least give me a baseboard to share these thoughts and feelings and issues with. I do actually apologize that this week's podcast is indeed so short as it is, but the truth of the matter is that that event that I've already shared is really the only new thing worth sharing. And I've yet to see what my counselor has to say about that in this next week. So perhaps, and more accurately, hopefully, there will be more to come in the near future. But for now, I just have to say, Dosh Vidanya.